Hey guys, welcome to the real-time web series. You're listening into Berst GBAK TMD from New Zealand. We're back again with another new episode with the legendary graffiti writer Dries MTS. Welcome.
How's it?
So, for all our viewers tuning in for the first time, the real-time web series is an in-depth process video meets podcast. Each episode basically documents the creative process of graffiti writers from start to finish, and is then combined with questions asked by our online audience. So let's get straight into it, because we've got some incredible questions and stories from a lot of the questions that you guys have asked on Facebook and also on Instagram. So I guess first off, what I'd really like to know is, so obviously you write Dries. What was your kind of first introduction to graffiti?
Started off tagging at school. Everyone at my school had a tag. It was like, I think everyone like in Auckland around that time, when I was that age, it was just normal. Even if you weren't like an actual writer, everyone had a tag though. So I guess that was like my first introduction to graffiti.
Seeing that kind of graffiti in the school and everybody having a tag, what actually encouraged you to take it to the street and actually take it to the next level rather than just having a tag, to actually painting graffiti? What actually encouraged you to do that?
I found like I started hanging out more with the people who were like actually tagging, and then it just progressed from there.
Who were some of the people that you kind of first started off tagging with when you first began?
Just like mates from school. They were probably like, none of them have actually gone on to like become writers, but yeah, we had like a lot of fun times just riding our bikes around, tagging fences and shit.
How long have you actually been writing for now, and how did you come up with the name Dries?
I'd say I've probably like actually been writing like properly, bombing and doing pieces for maybe like 10 years now, but I was probably tagging for like 3 or 4 years before that. Dries, I don't know, it's a fucking random word. I don't know. At first it was like I was like, oh, I'll just write this for now, but then I don't know, it kind of grew on me a bit. Doesn't really mean anything, it's just a word really.
Could you guide me through what the Auckland graffiti scene looked like when you kind of first started?
Back then it was super dope. It was like everyone speaks about like before the buff, but like it was really like, yeah, the tracks are were thrashed and painted quite heavily, but so were the streets as well. Like I remember like fence streets would be staying up for like ever, and it was just, I don't know, it was just everywhere. It was super dope. And I think that's maybe, and like even that could refer to like the second question, like why I started. Like I don't know, it was just everywhere, and just it was just, you couldn't not take it in, so much of it. And now it's like, I don't know, I kind of feel sorry for like the younger guys coming up. I think it's even like a little bit whack, kind of like what it's become, and I think it's because of that, like they don't really have anything to go off for. In Auckland in particularly, like Wellington still has a super dope scene where everything stays up quite long and shit. But yeah, in Auckland it's pretty dead. Or like, it's not, there's people painting and stuff, but if you were to drive around or catch the train, it would seem very dead.
How important are straights to New Zealand graffiti?
Very important. I think everyone should know how to do straights, like kind of like crawl before you walk, So I think it's in Auckland, when you're a kid growing up around my age, everyone knew how to do straights. Not everyone was good at them, but everyone did them.
And I guess through your journey as a writer, have you been involved with any crews?
Yeah, part of MTS.
So you being a part of MTS, how long has that been around, and how did that actually come about? Did you start it, or did you join it, or can you tell me a bit of a backstory about that?
I'd recently just come out of a different crew, and but I still had like my friends who I was painting with quite a lot, and we didn't have a crew at that time. And then I don't know, one day we were just like in my car in the McDonald's drive-thru, and then someone just, I think first we were like thinking NTC, but then, and we were trying to think of meanings and stuff, and then someone said MTS, and then they're like, yeah, Menace to Society, and then it just, heaps of like different ones just started rolling off from there. And then someone else was like, like Monday to Sunday, like, you know, made to spray, murdering the scene, and it was like, yeah, that's it, like, that's our crew.
How long has MTS actually been around for now? And would you say that from when you guys first started, you guys are just as active as you guys were then as you guys are now?
Kind of yes and no. Like, I feel like there's times, I'm not speaking for the whole crew, I'm speaking for like me in particular. There'll be times where I'm, you know, painting a lot, and then times where I'm not, you know. But in terms of like the crew, there's always, you know, I think we're pretty consistent, but I think we're like doing things differently to what we were when we first began though. I guess when we first started, we were painting like, you know, we were pretty active on the tracks and stuff. You know, nowadays it's almost pointless because it's just gone the next day. So, but I guess we did take to the freights a lot, and just like other wars, other, you know, like motorway spots and stuff. But yeah, we're still pretty active collectively.
Are you guys just located in New Zealand?
We're mainly New Zealand, Auckland and Wellington, but we also have a crew member from Sydney. He's just like the token Aussie in the Kiwi crew, and we have a crew member living in Melbourne, but he is a Kiwi. But plenty of our crew members, you know, have lived in, you know, in Europe or other parts of the world, you know, keeping the name alive around.
Not all the viewers here will know necessarily, but you're quite heavily involved in the you know, kind of panel scene. So how did you make that transition from the tagging to doing the track sides and then suddenly to this?
Sure, I don't know. I think it just like, I'm not sure how it happened. Kind of just, I was just doing pieces and tracks and stuff for a long time, and then I think it just came from seeing other panels. See a lot of, you know, when I was around that age, I was always hanging around train stations and stuff. I'd see a lot of addict panels, and you know, Rets panels, and you know, then naturally just wanted to, you know, I wanted to see my own panels running as well. So yeah, just went from there, and then just started learning, you know, how things work, started learning what to look for, and you know, what's good or not.
Adding to kind of what you just said, I've always felt like there's been an unspoken kind of code where, you know, somebody that, you know, at least within my past experiences, is that, you know, you start off tagging, then you do bombing, and then you go paint pieces, you know, on track sides, and then you go to freights, and then from freights you kind of escalate to painting panels. Is that kind of the journey that you went through? Is that a kind of code that you live by, that you would suggest to other people as well, that that's something that they have to do to kind of pay their dues before they get to panels? Or
I'd say that's probably definitely the process I went through, but yeah, I think it's like a good thing to follow. It's kind of like, you know, like crawl before you walk. You don't really, yeah, it is like I know this might sound a bit old school or whatever, but you gotta, you know, earn it in a way.
Well, you are old school. You're in like your mid-30s, aren't you? Awesome, man. And I guess moving on to the next set of questions, which is really more about style and your influences. One of the questions that we've got is, what's more important, letter structure or color schemes?
Now I'd say they're probably like they're both quite important things to making a good piece, but I'd have to go letters. You have the best colour scheme in the world, but if your letters are whack, it's going to be a fucking shit piece.
Do you like that anti-style graffiti?
When it's done right, I think it's okay. Nah, it's shit.
Thinking more about what you do, more specifically, how would you describe your style?
I'd say probably most definitely not like a European style. I'd say probably more to like a New York style, I guess, but then I feel like New Zealand even has its own style, and I feel like, yeah, I guess I'm like got quite a Kiwi style, but you know, with other influences as well. I really like Australian, you know, like you said, the Sydney public style, like, so I don't know, I guess I've taken a little bit of that, and I don't know, it's just my style, I guess.
Who would you say are 3 writers from New Zealand, more specifically, that have actually influenced some of your lettering style?
Probably you, definitely, like back in the day. I ask you a bit. Yeah, like, I think around like, it's like 08, 09, both of you guys are doing like super funky letters and shit. It's dope. I think it was like, probably like before the niche thing. I really liked that style just before that era. And I don't know, I guess I'd say just everyone in my crew, we all, influence each other in a way. And I think like, that's probably the biggest influence you have is, who you hang out with the most. And for me, hang out with my crews.
Having a crew is quite important because they influence you. Does a young up-and-coming writer need to be a part of a crew to know how to do graffiti, or should they write solo, I guess?
Not at all. Like I said at the start, like all the guys I started tagging with never really became writers, and a lot of the time I was out painting by myself. But I think having a crew helps, it does motivate you to go out more. If you're feeling lazy, then your crewman might be like, get off your ass, let's go and paint this. And then, yeah, having a crew is definitely, and, if you're doing something red hot, you probably want someone to keep eyes and shit, so, it's good to work as a team.
Who would you say are then 3 writers that have influenced you internationally?
I really have, Banos, Urge is pretty, but, those two maybe, like, not like, I wouldn't say influence like me style-wise, but just influenced me just like in terms of the, just what they've done in the, in their career, their graph career. And it's like, it's crazy to think, they've been like still going now, and just like the amount of shit they've done all around the world, it's crazy to think, Or when I'd say Pubes is pretty like painting, I know his style is just crazy, and pulling that style off like super technical shit on like really hard like metro systems and stuff, it's quite impressive to see.
How important do you think travelling overseas is for writers in New Zealand specifically to help them grow as writers?
I think it's really important. New Zealand's such a small place, it's like it's a little drop in the ocean. I guess like in terms of like different style, just like the culture and stuff, like it just needs to be experienced. It'll blow your mind. And
out of all the cities that you've been to overseas, what's your favourite city to paint in and why?
I'd say, it's a tough one. I'd probably say either Copenhagen in Denmark or New York. I'd say New York because it's just like, it's fucking New York. Like, they just have like the best trains, and I know Copenhagen is just like, I just love that city, everything. Always have fun there. It's like super good to paint. The train systems, like the S train system, is like super dirty. You just sit there and watch, some fresh shit roll by all day. And there's some like the writers there. They're just like, super fresh.
Awesome, man. And out of all these countries and cities that you've actually been to, which city would you say has the most thriving scene?
I would say probably, I know Copenhagen's pretty up there. Yeah, their scene is really thriving. It's just super active. There's just graph everywhere. There's panels everywhere. It's sick. But Berlin's pretty cool as well. They've got a really good scene. Yeah, no, this is a super cool place as well.
How do we make the scene here in New Zealand look like Berlin?
We need to fuck the buff and just destroy everything.
And I guess moving on to possibly the most interesting part, which is, your stories and experiences that you've kind of encountered over, your past 10-year career. And one of the first questions really is, what's your most interesting overseas painting mission?
I'd say probably the Metro Jam in Athens. That shit was super crazy, like, never experienced anything like that before. Just like, I think there was like about 57 of us just running into a yard, and everyone just fucking, everyone just going nuts, painting every single fucking carriage in the yard. And then, the night after, a whole train mission on the private line was like super crazy, like the same again, like 50 something cunts. And both sides of the train just got completely fucked up. It's like 2 security guards and a cop in the station, and as soon as they saw like 50 something cunts turning down, they just fucking ran upstairs and hid as we fucked up the train.
That sounds crazy, man. Do you think anything like that could be ever pulled in New Zealand?
Anything is possible. I'm not gonna. Yeah, there's no limits. It's graffiti. Yeah.
What's the most ruthless or scariest mission that you've been on overseas?
I'd say probably this mission, and yeah, we crept into the spot, and then we thought, well, yeah, the guy thought it was our contact who was taking us. Thought it was a Thursday when it was actually a Friday, and he was like, oh shit, yeah, no, this mission's fucked now. He's like, yeah, everybody, we can't leave the way we're going to. We have to fucking run like 5Ks through this fucking tunnel and through like 3 other yards. And then once we got out, if I had to climb, it was probably like 20 meters or something of, it's just like wires running along a wall. And it fucking started pissing down, and then, you know, security, our driver actually rocked up on us first, so then that's, you know, we had to leave at that point. And then when we got out of the tunnel, we had to climb that wall, and it was just climbing up all these wires. There was probably like 7 of us, and it got to a point where you could only one person could stand with like just a little bit of your feet on this little concrete pad, but you needed the person below you to push you up, because I was the slowest runner. And I got there last. I was the last to get up the wall as well, and it's a fucking high drop. And I remember being up there, it's pissing down with rain, and looking down at the security guards yelling at us, yelling some Spanish shit at us. And then someone attempted to throw their kit over the wall, and then I just remember seeing the cans falling out the kit, hitting the power line and just exploding from the electric power line. And then because I was the last to get on that little concrete bit, I had no one to help me up. So it's pretty much a case of when you're standing on that bit, you have to jump and grab the next part of the wire fence. And if I didn't make that jump, then I was gonna fall back and hit the power line or hit the fucking ground. I reckon that that's probably the closest I've been to death. But when I finally got to the top, I made the jump, but then my legs were so fucked from the run. I had one leg over and I just couldn't get. I just got into a cramp and I just couldn't get over the fence, and I actually thought I was gonna fucking die.
Would you do it all over again, or is an experience like that something that is a detractor and I don't want to do that again?
Not really, because we went straight back to that same spot the next day.
One of the other questions that we've got is, what's one of the best whole train missions that you've done while you were overseas?
I'd say probably the Athens Metro Jam. I don't know, just can't compare that to any other mission I've been on. That was nuts. And for the rest of that interrail, we were just I don't know, just trying to relive that shit. I can't really explain it. You just had to be there. It was if you can picture it, 57 guys, all bellied up, just ready to go. Everyone's raging, and then we all just, keen to just paint. That's fucking sick.
So in a matter of the time that you guys were there, you guys pulled off 57 panels in one go.
Nah, not 57 panels, because we were all, everyone who was playing on platform, we all teamed up on crew names, but then everyone on the other side were doing panels.
And I guess having travelled and encountered so many trains and systems around the world, what's actually been your favourite model?
New York was cool. I haven't really done many as many as I'd like compared to other riders, but I'll get there. I really like Berlin. That was super cool. I like Amsterdam's pretty cool city, and yeah, I like the city as well, and it's good for painting.
So have you ever been caught doing graffiti overseas? And if so, can you tell me one of the stories that happened in that particular situation? It doesn't have to be a train. It could even just be bombing, whatever.
The Barcelona mission I was telling you about, how we went back to the same spot the next day. We didn't actually get the paint, we got done, but it was fine. We just got, we were trying to creep up into the spot, and then we saw security there. So we're like, alright, it's not on, we should leave. Then we tried to walk back out the tunnel, and then there was more security approaching, so we were pretty much trapped in the tunnel as they were closing on us. But it was cool. They just took our paint and just wrote us a little trespass. I don't know what it says. I don't speak Spanish, but yeah, didn't get locked up because they just walked us straight out, and it was cool.
Could you tell us a story where you have been locked up overseas?
I got done for some shit in Amsterdam a few years ago, and went to jail for a few days. It was like five days, but it was super chill. It was all good. I had like a TV, had a coffee machine. The meals were like all good as well. It was like just like the microwave meals from Albert Heijn, and I was real broke at the time, so it was probably like pretty convenient, I guess.
For all the young riders here in New Zealand, we don't necessarily have a third rail on our trains. We've just got the electric lines at the top. Could you tell us a story about any stories about a third rail experience, or any close encounters or anything like that?
Yeah, me, Serge, and Parole were painting in Paris. Where I was painting, like half of my panel was I had to paint like on a little platform, and the platform was at the same level as the third rail, and we weren't sure if it was on or not, so we were just like, oh yeah, everyone be careful of it, because I had to paint half my panel on that little platform. I didn't even realise, but at one point I looked down and half my foot was on the third rail, so I just kept tapping it on there, thinking, oh shit, yeah, it's definitely not on. But the other guys hadn't noticed, so I kind of sort of be funny, and I walked down towards where they were painting, and I pretended to like trip over and grab the third rail, and like I was like pretending to be electrocuted. I thought I was like super funny, but they were just like really off it, which is like, yeah, understandable. But yeah, I thought it was a funny joke at the time.
So you pretended to be electrocuted, and what was their reactions?
Oh, they were super angry. They were just like, yeah, you're fucked. Like, you're not coming anymore. Like, you don't do that shit. If you do that shit again, you're not coming out anymore.
Could you tell us maybe an interesting chase story that you've had?
Probably the most hectic one is, it was real weird. Like the security guards are all dressed up as like fucking riders. They're all all in black, and they had balaclavas on and shit. And they had the whole they must have watched us go in from the start or something, because they had the whole yard on lock. I was super drunk as well. It was pretty stupid. But I was just lucky I ran a different way to everyone else. Like they had big spotlights in the yard, like, yeah, but there was like a kind of where we entered, we like walked down this alleyway, across the road, and then hopped the fence into the yard, and then started painting in the aisles. And then when they came, everyone kind of ran out more into the yard, but I was the only one. I ran back towards the way we came. I went back under the train. As soon as I went to go step into the alleyway, probably like a meter away from me, one of the security guards that was all bellied up and shit jumped out and tried to grab me, but I quickly dodged him, and then I got up, but I was like, I had nowhere to go really, because I was running along shop fronts, so I couldn't like jump any fences, or I was on the main road. Like, I finally found somewhere to jump, like an empty lot, and I just kept jumping fences. I got so tight that I got to a fence I couldn't actually get over, so I just sat there pulling the fence panels off, and then went through the fence, and then I heard the helicopter came out, but like just in time I managed to get into a supermarket. I just bought a bottle of water, and then I got a friend who was from that city to call me a taxi, because I didn't know any taxi numbers from the city. And then when I got in the taxi, I thought I was like heaps far from the yard, but then yeah, the first intersection we drove to, we were like right back outside the yard, and the dog unit was next to us at the traffic lights, and the cop looked over at me, but he didn't even think anything of it, and I was sitting in the taxi thinking, fuck, it was so close.
How many riders were on that particular mission?
There was 5 of us. I was one of the lucky ones, just me and one other got away, everyone else got done.
Crazy. So why did the security guards actually dress up in balaclavas and all that? Were they trying to pretend to be like riders?
I'm not sure what the theory behind that was. I think it's like pretty fucking retarded, really. you know, obviously if they're like yelling and chasing after us, we're not going to be like, oh shit, look, it's riders because they have bellies on. I thought that was super weird, but I was like, I know, I guess this is what they do.
Assuming that you've been locked up overseas, what's some of the best and worst prisons that you've been to outside of New Zealand?
Amsterdam was definitely the best. It was like really nice. I had a TV with like 80 channels, had a coffee machine, you know. No one really spoke English, but it was weird. They gave me ciggies as well. When I was getting processed to go in, they were like, "Do you smoke cigarettes?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he just like gave me a pouch of a 40 gram of tobacco with papers and a lighter. And he was like, "Here, you're only allowed to smoke in your cell when it's like recreation time. You can't, go and smoke out in the recreation room." And I was like, what the fuck's going on? Yeah, it was chill. The food was like all good as well.
Awesome, man. And I guess moving on to the next set of questions, which is more about
your opinion and advice for younger writers. The first question, which is actually from me, is how would you define graffiti?
I don't know. Everyone has their own opinion of what it is. I guess it's just like writing your name on shit. But I guess it's like the experiences you get from it as well, like the friends you meet and the connections you make with people and just like having fun and stuff.
And how would you define a real writer? Because that's, for me, I think that's a topic that's always kind of recurring. So how would you define one?
To define a real writer is like, I think the writer should just be real to himself and do what he wants to do. If you're not like into painting trains and shit, then like that's cool. Like that's, if you're like actually just want to do what you want to do, then like you're being a real cunt. You're doing what you want to do because that's what you want to do. You're not doing like different kind of graffiti because like, oh shit, people will like me more if I do this or something. So I think a real writer is someone who stays true to what they want to do and they don't just do shit to try and fit in or try and impress other people or just doing what they want to do.
Does it matter that if you're a graffiti writer and you don't paint trains, does that make you any less real?
It's more of like how you are as a person. If you're like if you're a really good dude and stuff but you've never painted a train in your life, I couldn't give a fuck. Whereas if you've painted 1 million panels but you're a fucking dickhead, then I wouldn't really care,
I really like that, man. And I guess having talked, more about your stories and experiences overseas, let's bring it back to New Zealand, and look at the scene here. So Auckland went through a period, specifically, during 2010 Rugby World Cup, where they pretty much, eradicated and got rid of every piece of possible graffiti, that was visible to the public. Since then, it's been a different scene from that. What do you think is the state of the current scene in Auckland?
It's still not like at a state where I'd say, I'm like happy with it, but it is what it is. And I guess I think it's coming back, or it's like coming back. It's definitely more than it was when the buff first hit. I think that just really like killed a lot of riders, but there's, it seems like there's like a little bit more going on now, or than there was like, the year before or the year before that. So it's good. Still working on it, but it's getting there.
Are you proud of the New Zealand graffiti scene?
Yes and no. I think like I do have like a lot of time and respect for like some riders, but then there is like a lot of whack shit going on as well. But I don't know. I guess every scene has it. But yeah, I'm proud of like our scene. We've got some good styles coming up and some good riders.
What would you like to see more of happening in Auckland graffiti?
I'd say probably, I don't know, just graffiti in general. I'd like to see more straights around. I'd like to see more throw-ups and stuff. But yeah, it's like, there's probably people out there, painting tracksides all the time, but no one would even know about it because it's just getting buffed. I guess it's just how it is now. But it's good. I think now like certain riders have found have kind of gone to like abandos and stuff, but like still like roadside abandos, and like construction areas. Those are like kind of like the stay up spots now, like not the tracks and stuff. So I think it's like, yeah, it's all good.
So who are some up and coming riders from New Zealand that you've kind of noticed, or that has your attention at the moment?
There's quite a few active guys at the moment who've done a lot. I think are pretty dope. Like I think like he's like my crewmate in Wellington. I'd say Simmer. Say he stays pretty active and consistent, and he's got like some other guys down there now who are doing quite a lot. I think TDT crew are kind of coming up a bit. They're starting to do quite a bit, and OCTs as well.
Having mentioned, a couple of these people and crews that you think are up and coming and kind of driving the scene, more specifically, I'm interested in knowing, what do you think is the state of the current train scene in New Zealand?
I'm not too sure really. Like, I'm not sure what goes on altogether, so I can't really comment on that.
And what do you think is your favourite train model in New Zealand?
Oh, in New Zealand, I'd say probably either the 80L or the 80K. I was a big fan of the SA, but it's gone now. And still, the Silver Fern is quite nice. But I'm also a big fan of the Cyclops in Wellington. But yeah, I'd say probably the Silver Fern is the top.
What are your thoughts on people that post up pictures of their panels that they paint?
I don't know. It's up to them, I guess. It's their photo. I particularly don't like. I know, kind of a bit picky about what photos I put on the internet and stuff. But I guess it's just up to the writer. And yeah, it's like I said, it's their photo. They can do what they want with it. I don't really give a fuck.
What would be 3 bits of advice that you would give to a person that's wanting to start painting trains now?
Don't. No. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Don't just like, if that's what you want to do, then I'm sure you will do it. Like if that's actually what you want to do, I just think it's a bit whack if you're just doing it to try and fit in or impress certain people, or if it's actually what you want to do, then naturally you'll make it happen. But if you're just like, I don't know, I think it's a bit whack if you're just like constantly relying on other people, like, oh, can you take me out, blah blah, like, I think it's a bit whack. If you want to do it, you'll work it out and you'll do it.
For you don't really care who paints the trains, just as long as other people don't blow it up for you, right? So what's your kind of position for being I guess respectful train rider for other train riders?
Just don't be going there like every single fucking week, like.
One of the questions that we've got is, should more riders be working together to form a scene like One Up? Because from what I see, at least from their videos online, they look like they're pretty united in what they do to get up pretty much everywhere in many countries, and they're working together in big teams, and putting up big crew names and stuff like that. Do you think we need to shift towards that, or do you think we should stay painting as groups but painting individually, our own names and stuff like that, or do you think we need to come together?
Yes and no. Like, I think it's good what they have, but also I think like you should just stay close with your crew. I find it quite weird if like a crew just starts dropping in like heaps of people who, and it's real weird, like some people in the crew have never even like met each other, but it's like, hey, we're in the same crew. Like, I know sometimes, like even on like Instagram, I get like kids will message and be like, oh, how can I be an MTS? Like, why would you want to be an MTS? Like, why don't you start your own crew with your own friends? It's like, I just find it so weird. Like, I guess having that like the friendship, because as important as working, because that's what will help you guys work together better. So
if some young up and comer wanted to be an MTS, what do they need to do, or what do they need to be to work towards that?
80 chromes and 20 blacks. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think anyone would be keen on just like putting some random little kid down in our crew, because it's like, I know we're all good friends and we all hang out every weekend and we're always doing shit together. It's like, but then like all of a sudden there's this kid in our crew and it's like no one even knows him. We don't know who he is, and there's just not that. There's no connection there. And I think we try and stay quite tight in it.
So should a person ask to be in a crew, or should they ask the crew to be put down? And I guess the reason why I ask that question is because you go looking for a job, you go ask for a job, and you have certain skills to bring. That job is not going to know who you are, so you go out and seek the job, right? And then they might let you in or not. But I guess with crews, some kid that's, you know, writing out there and doing pieces, and how do they end up connecting with you, you know, if they want to be a part of, you know, your crew?
Yeah, that's weird. I just think don't. Like, that might sound like harsh, but it's like, why don't, like, you should just start a crew with your own friends. Like, how much, like, cooler will that be? Like, your own mates, and you guys have your own crew going. Like, it's so weird that you know, I don't want to, like, I almost, like, feel like it'd be, like, really awkward, you know, like, just hanging out with these random guys just because they're, you know, of this crew that you want to be in. But, you know, you might not even like any of them at all, but you just do it because, you know, because you want to be in that crew. But, like, you should just start your own crew and just do your own thing.
How would you say that writers from New Zealand can link up with writers overseas? Because I guess living in New Zealand in such a small place that's separate to a lot of the rest of the world, is it easy for writers to meet other writers overseas now?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I always, like, I've run into writers quite a bit, like, overseas, like, even just at yards and stuff, or, you know, at the graph store or something, like. But I guess there is the internet. I personally, like, if I know guys and, you know, I know they're cool and they're my friends, then I'll go and hang out with them overseas. But particularly, I wouldn't, like to go, like, oh shit, I'm going here, like, you know, I need to, like, meet someone there. Like, I'd rather just, it's kind of, like, more rewarding if you just do it.
More so about graffiti, you know, just widening the scope of this discussion a little bit, is what are some likes and dislikes that you have for graffiti?
It's quite stressful. It's, like, really stressful at times. Can make you quite paranoid. It is what it is. There's heaps to like about it though. It's fucking fun. I like, you know, sharing stories with your friends, or I don't know, just doing, like, super fun missions with your friends and shit. Obviously, there's the rush, and then, like, watching your footage and your flicks, looking at your flicks, you know, it's...
In what order would you place this as your priority, these three things that I'm about to ask? The art of lettering, so style, vandalism, and the rush of doing graffiti, the adrenaline, you know?
For me personally, probably, like, the letters and the rush, pretty close tie, like, first, and then vandalism second to that.
To kind of wrap up around this idea of New Zealand graffiti, what direction do you see New Zealand graffiti going in the next 5 years?
I can see it getting better. It can only progress. Yeah, hopefully we get, like, some more new writers, and hopefully we start beating the buff a bit, and yeah, bringing it back.
Obviously, as one of the organisers alongside SACT for the latest Burning Bridges 2 event, which was occurred a couple of months ago, I guess now, maybe 2 months, maybe even a month. What was your experience like attending a jam like that, you know, with over 80 riders?
It was quite interesting. It was pretty cool, I guess. The whole weekend was pretty good. Good excuse to get out of Auckland and hang out with some other riders I wouldn't usually hang out with from out of town.
How do you think Burning Bridges would be helpful for younger riders that are coming up?
I don't know, I guess it'd give them a chance to, like, meet and speak to, I guess, like, guys they look up to, or, you know, even just, like, watching them paint. Maybe they can pick up some tips and shit off that.
Would you say that, you know, having painted for, you know, 10 years now, are you a full-time writer?
It's kind of hard to define. I'd say, like, in a sense, yeah. Oh, not really, because I'm always, you know, obviously I have my Norman life, and but I'm always thinking about graffiti, and, you know, I'm always like.
If you're a full-time writer, it does require quite a lot of attention and commitment, because you're not necessarily just going out there to paint. Sometimes you have to scope things, you have to check things out, you have to put on a lot of groundwork. How do you actually balance your normal life, your family, your friends, maybe even your girlfriend, or, you know, all these other things that you have to do with graffiti? Like, does graffiti come first for you, or is it everything else, and then when you have spare time you do graffiti?
It depends where I am at that point, and depends, like, how important the other things are at the time that I need to do. I'd say I don't always put it first, because, you know, it's not, there's definitely, like, my job is definitely more important. Like, you know, getting up and going to work is going to mean that I eat for the next week, whereas, like, you know, if I just sleep in and then go and paint graffiti all day, you know, then I'm going to, you know, it's not going to pay my bills or anything. At times I do put it first, but then, you know, you can't do that. But I have friends who, like, you know, they've sacrificed, you know, like, they are, like, I guess, full-time writers. Like, they don't want a normal job because it doesn't fit in with going to check the yard at 3 a.m. or like, and I guess those are like full-time writers where they're just, but it is hard to balance, and I don't do as much as I would like to because of the other stuff, but that's just life. This is what it is.
Do you want to be doing what all your other friends are doing?
Kind of, but then not really, because there's other things I want as well. When I go on holiday, that is what I'm doing full time. So I guess, I just, do my normal life, and then when I'm on holiday, I can live that life for, however few months every year.
To wrap up this last set of questions, what would be 3 pieces of advice that you would give to some young, up-and-coming writers?
The best thing you could do is be consistent. I'd say a lot of writers, they'll go hard as fuck for like a year, and then they just burn out, and they're just nobody, or they're not relevant to the scene anymore. But if you're just not necessarily if you can, but like I was saying, real life does get in the way. Just stay consistent. Just make sure you're always doing something. Still number 2, I'd say probably. I know I said this before earlier in the interview, but I think it's really important. You should just do what you want to do. Don't let don't try and let anyone else influence unless it's really what you want to do, then you should just do it. And last one, just don't be a dick. Yeah.
What do you mean by don't be a dick?
I know, just be nice, especially I just mean when I was younger, a lot of older writers, they're just real dickheads, and I think that happens everywhere. The older writers are always quite stink to the younger dudes, but I think that's, I don't know. Yeah, kids will grow up as well, and you don't need to be a dick all the time.
Now that I guess you've grown up and you're the kind of more older person in the scene, do you think that type of attitude of not necessarily bullying younger writers, but that attitude of looking down on them and they're a toy, and do you think that attitude still exists now, more specifically in Auckland?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, happens all the time. It's I'd rather just, if I'm not feeling something, someone's doing something, I'd just rather not say anything rather than speak about it with my friends rather than actually bullying them. Yeah.
Just to wrap up, we've got a couple of rapid fire questions that we've got from our audience, and the first one is KFC or McDonald's?
KFC.
Walls or trains?
Trains.
Foil bags or pliers?
Loyal to the foil.
Dream spot to paint?
Pyongyang Metro.
Can you finish a 6-pack of VB without spewing your guts out?
Sometimes.
And are there any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Just to my crew and all my friends. Yeah, and all my friends and overseas and stuff. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dries, for all your time. We really appreciate it. So thank you for sharing your experience, perspective, knowledge, and insight. I'm sure that it's going to be very informative for a lot of people that watch this episode. You've really given us a really good resource for a lot of aspiring writers in New Zealand and overseas, hopefully. So thank you to all the viewers and the audience that's just watched this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully it was insightful, inspiring, and educative for you, and hopefully you've learned something actually. So thank you also to all the contributors for all your questions. Your questions are really important to us framing up this episode, and that kind of avoids my questions being limited to what I want to find out. Hopefully the questions that you guys ask can tap into the writers and utilize them as a resource to help find out and grow yourselves. So shout outs to Two Rooks for your support, and all the blogs and IG accounts for sharing the video. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and feel free to check out some of the earlier episodes. Obviously this is episode 11, so there's 10 other real-time episodes you can check out. Drop us a like, share, comment below, and make sure to leave us some feedback and give us some recommendations on how we can improve the episode, because we want to make the future episodes even better for you. So let us know what you think, and stay tuned for your monthly viewing of the real-time web series.
Come on, guys. Tutto come io, no?